Hi everyone, you're welcome to Reviews and Recaps. Let's get into the latest episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville. So the first scene was basically Maurice and Mercer had a sit down at Black. So they basically started talking about the famous picture that we've all been hearing about and we're tired of hearing about at this point. Like, we're 3 episodes in, you guys are still talking about this picture. Anyway, so Monsieur was basically asking Maurice what his initial reaction was when he saw the picture. And what a non-lying person would say. And I'm just thinking, oof, talk about Monsieur is definitely putting his brother all up in that bus. And it's just so entertaining to watch. And Maurice was basically saying that I was there even before everyone posted the picture. Everyone knew I was there. I wasn't lying, blah, blah, blah. Monsieur was like, that's not what everyone heard. I'm like, oh my God, Monsieur, like, just let it go. Give the apology and just let it be over. Just apologize, bro. Like, it ain't that deep. Just apologize. Like, but then again, I guess he doesn't feel like there's anything he needs to apologize for. So who can fault him for that? If you feel like there's nothing you need to apologize for, then that's on you, bro. Maurice basically asked, do you feel like you owe me an apology? And Monsieur was like, apologies? Stop it. I'm like, bro, this guy is unhinged, honestly. He basically said he felt like he owed Kimmy an apology, but not Maurice. That's very interesting. I think underneath all of this, Maurice knows or basically knows that he can't push the issue because Merceau knows something we don't know. Because I don't understand, if someone was coming at me in that way and was basically saying they don't owe me an apology for posting that picture, I would be like, what do you mean you don't owe me an apology? There was a way in which the picture could have been uploaded if you wanted to do that by giving me some heads up, and I could have gotten ahead of the story and explained my situation properly, what I meant by that, so that I don't start getting dragged in the comments. Now, one thing Master did say was, you put yourself in the middle of mess by answering the question the way you did. And I can't lie, I do agree with that. The way he answered the question was like a politician, because he was relying on the fact that he had been around them. However, he's not seen openly the feelings that Mattel has for the side chick. But that's the thing, he should have clarified that instead of making it a yes or no question, or a yes or no answer to the question. Also, guys, did you actually know that Maurice is older than Mercer? I never got the impression, guys. I always thought Mercer was older. He acted older. I think he even looks older. The way he speaks to Maurice, sometimes I always think like he's the older brother. Wow, that is interesting. Does anyone know how old Maurice is and how old Mercer is? I'm curious to know whether there's a huge age gap or whether there isn't, because it's just something I never thought about before. But I'm pretty shocked. Like, who else is shocked that Maurice is actually older than Mercer? Let me know in the comment section below. Anyways, Mr. Mattel Holt walked in, and Mattel was basically asking the guys to bring their kids to the book signing. So for those of you who don't know, Mattel has a new book called A Plane Ride to Canada, and it's meant to be a kiddies book, which was written by himself and the kids. Anyways, the guys said they couldn't make it, so the conversation changed. Mattel brought up the reunion and was basically saying that everyone seemed to be against Tiffany and Lou, and Mattel was basically telling the guys that he felt really sorry for them. Mercer was not having it, as you guys can imagine. That man does not like to apologize to nobody. I don't care what he says. But then again, one thing Mattel did say, and I'm not sure whether I agree with him, is that once you explain to Mercer and he sees a reason for his apology, then he apologizes. Well, the problem is if he doesn't see the reason to apologize, then he does not apologize. So essentially, he probably does not apologize much anyway, in my opinion. Anyways, Mercer said something and I was like, okay, I don't agree with you, but if that's how you roll, that's how you roll. He basically said, if you throw a match at my house, I'm burning yours down. I'm like, okay, I don't agree with it, but I guess that's his mantra. That's how he runs things. Anyway, so Maso basically asked, like, why are you taking up so much for him? Did you think he was bullied? Mattel was like, yes. I'm like, okay. Shout out to Mattel for having the strength and courage to speak up to Mr. Maso, because it doesn't seem like nobody speaks up to Maso at this point. Anyways, Maso basically was talking about how mature adults don't walk around talking about their opinions on people's marriages. Now, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I do agree. I don't think I know anyone in my life that goes about talking about their opinions on other people's marriages. Like, it's none of your business. You mind the business that pays you. Unless you're asked a question, you don't get involved. And also, marriage is huge. Like, I'm not about to be telling y'all, like, what you should be doing in your marriage. Like, nah, that ain't none of my business, honey. That is none of my business. Okay? Anyway, so Mr. Holt said something, and I hate to agree with him, but he basically said that some people don't know they're overstepping their boundaries until you set that boundary, which I agree with. I think that if someone oversteps, then you emphasize, yo, this is what my boundary is. Don't you ever do that again. And then hopefully that's the end of it. So the conversation with the guys ended with Maso basically saying that he will have a conversation with Lou. He does not think it's something he should have to do, but he will do it. So I was like, all right, cool. Seemed to have done a good fit in, even though he didn't apologize to Maurice. At least he is content to have a conversation and sit down with Lou. If I'm being honest, I'm not a fan of Tiffany and Lou. I think my biggest issue with them is the fact that they just came talking about all their opinions about all these things, but it's like, okay, when it comes to your issues, you don't want to be transparent about those issues, but you expect a level of transparency you yourself are not willing to provide. Anyways, Tiffany and Lou were having their own private conversation. They started talking about what happened at the pajama party. So Tiffany was catching Lou up regarding everything that happened and explained how Kimmy and her talked everything out. They were good. And then Stummy walked over and rehashed the whole thing again and just expressing her frustrations regarding that, right? So Louie then talked to her and basically said about the conversation he had with Mattel regarding the reunion. And Mattel asked if he could sit down and talk to Maso regarding what happened. So Tiffany then suggested that maybe it should be like a double date with themselves and Tisha and Maso. This is where everything went left, guys. I don't know if you picked that up, but where it went left was she basically then mentioned that, she's been knowing Maso since she was at Monaco. Then Louis loses his cool. I don't understand what happened, but he was not having it. Tiffany was like, you know how Maso has a really big personality. Louis was like, I don't give a F about that. He was pissed, guys. I'm not even playing. He was pissed. Guys, I don't understand why he was so pissed off. Like, is it just me or like something is up? Like the way he switched up. Like when Mercer was being talked about as someone who had a big personality, he was not having any of it. He just started having this weird aggression that I did not like. And it's like your wife is sitting on your lap and you're being very aggressive and being like you're about that life. And I'm like, yo, your wife is sitting on you. You need to dial back that temper real quick, honey. I don't get the aggression. Considering he's the same person talking about Mercer needs to learn to control his temperament. Homeboy, you need to learn how to control all of that, honey. You're doing absolutely too much for no reason whatsoever. And I need to make sure that he keeps that same energy when he meets Mercer face to face, because I don't understand why he's piping up for his wife. Like, take it down a few notches, honey. So next scene was with Miss Mariah and Melody. So Mariah was basically helping Melody with auditions for acting roles. You all know that Miss Melody has been busy working. She's added acting to the list of things that she does. Anyways, Mariah was running lines with her mama, so they were just dealing with that. After doing all of that, she sat down to have a conversation with Mariah, basically about why she works. It was a really good conversation. I felt like she was expressing the need for independence, because like sometimes as children, as women, or as like female kids, you grow up with the mentality that so many people have around you, where it's like, oh, a Prince Charming is coming to come and get you out of like certain situations, which is not the case, which is not something that we should be teaching our children. So I love the fact that she was trying to instill in her child, Mariah, the importance of independence. I think it's very smart. You have to teach them young. I know like certain people or certain parents start parenting like after the fact when things go wrong, but it's like, no, you need to start early before it becomes a thing. You need to instill those virtues in them from day one. If not, it's just not gonna work. And so that's essentially what it is. Anyway, Mr. Mattel went to his mom and brought her some red wine to taste. I want to taste the red wine. Like, Mattel needs to send me some bottles. Probably doesn't even know who I am. I think probably only 20 of you know who I am right now. So, Mr. Mattel definitely does not know who I am yet. Anyway, so he has an adventure of like making wines. I'm like, okay, Mr. Mattel, first you're doing photo shoot. Now you're making wines. And you're writing books. Like, okay, all right, Mattel, get the money up. Well, you're gonna need extra money because you have a new baby. So yeah, keep working. His mama basically started mixing all the wines up. Like, I was like, okay, girl, how you gonna know what this one tastes like? But it sounds like she knew, because eventually she gave him some insight as to which one she prefers. So I was like, all right, cool. So on the other side, you see Tisha and her family. So you see the children and Mr. Merceau and Tisha. Can I just say, Tisha looks absolutely lovely. Like, her makeup was done to perfection. Like, she just looks stunning. And I normally don't say that, but she looked exceptional tonight. So I just had to give credit to whom credit is due. You'll know that Tisha is not my favorite on the show. But I definitely give credit because she looks stunning. Anyways, enough about ranting about or raving about how Tisha looks beautiful. Let's talk about Africa. The trip to Africa keeps coming up all the time. And it came up again. So Merceau and Tisha were talking about Africa, and it seems like the kids also wanted to go on a trip to Africa. Now, Tisha said some really ignorant things that I'm like, girl, stop. But I'm not even going to go into it. Like, there's no point. She just needs to experience the world, the continent of Africa for herself. Anyways, one thing that Merceau seems to have come back with from Africa is an epiphany. I don't know what it is, but he seems to have finally realized that generational wealth is about spending time with family and not acquiring things. I'm like, duh. You want to spend all your time acquiring things and not spending time with your family? Like, what relationship are you trying to build? Anyways, when it was like, okay, so closer to the end of the scene, Tisha basically started to thank Merceau for spending time with the kids, I believe. Like, she didn't specifically say thank you for spending time, but she's like, oh, thank you for this. What was this? This was pretty much them chilling together. So I added 2 and 2, allegedly. So yeah, I don't know. Anyways, Merceau started to tell Tisha that Maurice and Mattel came up to Black and they decided to gang up against him. I'm like, bro, they did not. Maurice had a conversation with you privately. Then Mattel came separately and had a conversation with both of you. So no one is ganging up against you. Like, what's going on there? I don't know where that's coming from. So Tisha basically brought up the conversation about the whole apartment again. Like, where did the rumor even come from? And then Merceau was like, same people that said I have secret babies. I'm like, okay, Mattel. Okay, Merceau, sorry. It's like, yo, why? Side notes, why do they all have names that start with M? Like, why? What is the reason? Anyways, back to the recap. So I was just like, okay. It's like same people that said I have secret babies. I'm like, okay, and then he goes on to say, they're not trying to learn who he is. And then he talks about how he has cars with names on the back of the car. His trucks are unique. If his vehicles are, are found at a secret apartment, they would have identified the vehicles, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. Why are you talking around in circles when you could answer a yes or no question about, I've never had a secret apartment with Mattel, or I have had a secret apartment with Mattel? You going around and saying your vehicles are identifiable, so you couldn't have had a secret apartment. Bro, you could have parked the vehicle somewhere and gotten an Uber. One. You could have gotten one of your dog friends to drive you to the place. Like, you could have done so many different things. So I don't really understand why you're bringing that up. It's not a strong argument. If anything, it sounds like you're telling on yourself, baby. Over on the other side, there was Maurice and Kimmy. It seems like they're finally packing for the honeymoon. Like, it's been 3 years. 3 years. That's the thing, though. I find that sometimes when you get married, like when you get hitched, and like you guys are already like maybe living together or doing like certain things together, sometimes there isn't like that much of a focus or like importance placed on like a honeymoon. It's almost like there ain't no reason for no honeymoon. We can do whenever we're free. I feel like it also takes a little bit away from like the excitement that you feel from like an immediate honeymoon. Well, I wouldn't know because I've never been on a honeymoon, but in my like what I think it would feel like, I feel like you'd be so excited to go the first time, like immediately. But like 3 years later, it's like, bruh, at that stage I'd have been like, do you know what? You're not giving me a honeymoon. Don't even bother anymore. I don't want it. Anyways, enough about their honeymoon. Kimi was basically then talking to Maurice about the pajama party and talking about how Tisha's cousin showed up, Kiki, which was weird. I think we all agree about that. Maurice basically essentially advised her like she needed to talk to Tisha about it, which I agree. At the end of the day, I think if my cousin showed up and was talking smack about me, I would hope that someone would give me a heads up about it. So I definitely think that it should be done in this case. So finally, we're at the book signing day. Mattel's manager asked whether the children were coming. Mattel said that he's hopeful that the kids will show up, basically, to the book signing. He also talked about like how he had messaged Mel to ask her, but she didn't respond. The manager said something which I 100% agree with. She basically said a co-parenting relationship has to be a strong one. Essentially, like if you want favors, if it's your week and you want favors, you need to have a good relationship with the co-parent. Not you don't have a good relationship with the co-parent, but you're expecting that they will do a favor for you on this one day. It just doesn't make any sense. And yeah, she was talking about how, these things take time. It's a relationship builder. With everything that has happened, she doesn't feel safe, which I 100% agree with. Like, you cannot, at the end of the day, right? Here's the thing. If it is my week, I have liberty to decide what I want to do with my week. That's just how that works. It is unfair for you to book something in my week and expect. If we had a good relationship, I'll be like, oh, okay, sure, let's do this, right? Or if they said to me, okay, can I have the kid for an extra day this week, but next week you can have an extra day. So that would make up for that. But Mattel just seemed like he just wanted to embarrass her and show the world that she isn't, who they think she is. I feel like that's all that was. Everyone was basically asking Mattel where the children at, blah, blah, blah. And he kept saying the same sub story. He's hoping that they will be here, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, on the other hand, there was Mel and the children and grandma. So Mel was on a FaceTime call with her mama. Melanie is such a cute baby. Like, she is just perfect. Like, I could just eat her cheeks. Well, bite her cheeks. Maybe not eat her cheeks, but bite them. She's so cute. Anyways, so Mel was basically telling her mom, like, literally what was going on and how she got an email from Mattel regarding a book signing. She said that, it was weird that he didn't just put a book signing on his week when he had the children, which I 110% agree with. It's like, you could have, if this was that important to you, you could have done what you had to do, by moving it to a week that was available and, a week that your children could accommodate. Like, if you don't have a good relationship with your co-parent, you can't expect that level of like, oh, let me move things around for you. Like, no, you can't. It's not right. That's entitlement. It's just not how it should work. And for me, I just didn't like how Mattel seemed to be playing the victim card. Like, what did you think was going to happen? You cheated on her, embarrassed her, had a side baby, embarrassed her further with all of your social media posts, and all of a sudden, you feel like she's going to do you one favor by bringing the children to a book luncheon for you? Like, no, she will not do that. It's just, I do understand on the other hand, like, the children might have really wanted to go to the event and like she shouldn't have been petty with that. And I agree with that. I personally, if I was in that situation, I would just overall think about the children. And also I would know that he's trying to manipulate me into looking bad. Because if you notice, every opportunity that he got, he insinuated that it was her fault. So in that case, it's, it is what it is. But yeah, my overall thoughts about the episode, it was a decent episode. I can't wait for season 4. Not season 4, episode 4. I think it would definitely pick up a little bit better. So yeah. Anyways, thank you for listening. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe and tap that bell for notifications so you know every single time that I post. Have an amazing time. Take care. See you soon. Bye.